Before we get to this week's case study, there's something that's very important that goes beyond case studies and it directly affects you and me, and that's what's happened with Hurricane Harvey in the South Coast. From Houston to Corpus Christi, it's just devastating. It breaks your heart to see what's going on down there. And part of a company that Pat and I are also a part of, People Helping People. This week, it's People Helping Houston. So go find People Helping Houston on GoFundMe and give what you can. We will direct that money directly to a relief organization that has the ability to get supplies down to those that need it most. Remember, the need keeps going even after the waters recede. Kids need backpacks and clothing to get back to school, and they're living out of a hotel because their apartment's been devastated. Young people need a refrigerator at their new apartment wherever they're going. There are so many needs that will keep on going long after the airports are open and Houston seems to be back to normal. There's a lot of people that will be there. So please go to People Helping Houston in GoFundMe and give what you can. 100% of the proceeds, except the fee for GoFundMe and the credit card fee, but 100% goes down there to those agencies that will help. Thank you for watching. Here at Valuetainment and at PHP Agency, we care. Welcome back to Case Studies with the BizDoc. And you know, everybody's been asking about examples of companies that didn't make it and why. So we're going to go speed round this week with 3 of them that are unrelated to each other in terms of product or category, but they are all related to each other and that it didn't go well. And there's a lesson that you and I can learn. So let's rip through them, and I hope you learn something and I leave you better than I found you. Number 1, a pretty good idea. BP. It was like sort of a brokered site for used cars where they would take your used car on consignment, spruce it up a little bit. Now, they wouldn't change the brakes or the tires, but they would make it look as good as it can in its current condition, and they would broker the sale for you, and then you got the money for it minus a fee. It was a pretty good idea, and I think it helps people who are busy sell their car. I think that if you could see venture capitalists and other people getting involved, which they did in 2014. 2014, they raised 1.25 seed money, and look at this, 2014 was spent raising money. They got then 5 million part of the year, 6 million, then 12.7. Holy moly. And then in the middle of 2015, another 70 million. They raised 149, and then it all came to a screeching halt. Screeching halt's good for used cars, isn't it? In 2016, where they have what I call the oxygen round. Give me just enough so I can take the assets of this thing and the software and sell it to something else. And then, God rest their soul, muerta! In 2017, they're gone after having a valuation of $560 million. So that's the dollars of it. But what happened along the way? Why didn't it work? Busy people, I could see them saying, hey, take my car, spruce it up, detail it, I'll pay you for that, whatever it is, and then you come back with a check for me, my car is sold. Seems like it would work, except like Uber and other things, you got to keep expanding city to city because that's an operation in every city. You can't just ship your car to Florida to do that. When they're actually touching the physical car, they got to do it in each city. So they had to expand. And part of what happened, they had kind of a rough growth plan. And along the way, as happens with entrepreneurs, here's that word again, one of the BizDoc's favorite words, hubris. You've got all this money and it's other people's money. Sometimes you don't think of it as if it's your own, such as you're selling a Volkswagen Beetle for $3,500 at 26 miles a gallon, but you bought a $10,000 couch for the office that gets 0 miles per gallon. And the only thing in common is that you can screw in the back of the Beetle and you screw on a couch. That's all they have in common. Meanwhile, this is just mismanagement of money and it's other people's money. And your growth plan going city to city, and so the growth plan fell over. They were full of hubris and mismanaged the really good amount of money they had. Look at this. They could have gotten up to 20 or 30 cities with a good operation with that kind of money, but it didn't happen. So a good and interesting idea that maybe could have had some legs or had wheels doesn't quite make it. Onward, number 2. Number 2, we go to Juiceroo. And this is actually one of my favorites because it falls into the great what are you thinking file. And I have a special file that I love, and it's all these things of life. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? You and I both know what that's all about. Juiceroo. 4 tons of pressure generated by a little juicer to squeeze fruit, and they would sell you the little bag of fruit that would get shipped to you. So you get these little bags of fruit for $5 to $8, put it in a what? 400? Actually, first of all, it was a $700. Andrew, help me out here. It was $700 for Model 1, wasn't it?
Yes.
$700 to put $5 to $7 worth of fruit in it. But wait. Let's go back a second. $700 for the Model 1. That's what you said, wasn't it, Andrew? Yes, it was what you said. So $700 for Model 1. And oh, by the way, it had to be connected to the internet so that it could understand that the juice product you just bought was within its expiration date window, that what you were putting in, the number that was on the bag of juice, was actually, was still fresh. But still, $700 for this thing that allegedly generated 4 tons? There's only one word for that, and it's damn! That is just overkill. And it said it generated 4 tons of pressure. That's good marketing, but I got a question. When my daughter was small, she could squeeze a grape like this and she could turn a banana into gelatinous goo in 6 seconds. And I'm pretty sure she wasn't generating 4 tons of pressure in her little 1-year-old hand. So I think the advertisement generates 4 tons of pressure, I think was out there. Also, there's a very funny thing happened. I think it was a Bloomberg reporter, am I right? Bloomberg reporter orders a bag of it, gets it in the mail, holds it over a glass, takes all the fruit, squeeze into the glass, and he goes, hey, that's really tasty. And then said to himself, why do I need this $700 thing? Well, they hired, believe it or not, the ex-president of Coke, because I think we can make it. If we just get a little bit more money, I think we can make it and get going. And the only thing this had in common with Coke is that at the end of the day, you both had liquid. Because Coke is a beverage manufacturing company, not a hard good or appliance manufacturing company, and they are completely different in how you do it. Nonetheless, President of Coke puts his name on this thing and comes and joins. Let's take a look. Well, in 2013, they raised $4 million, then 16.5, and then they skipped a year and they raised 70 and 16. So they raised about $118 million on a mechanical product. It's really hard to be in the mechanical appliance product business. They managed to drop it down to $400 for like the Model 2 or whatever they called it. And they're still kicking right now, but sorta. I mean, they're selling it for $400. So I gotta say, man, a $400 juicer when juice is available everywhere. And now, thanks to delivery through many different things, including, Uber, you can get meals and stuff delivered right to you. So you can get a whole tray full of juice delivered from your local juice bar by Uber. And so you don't need a juiceroo to do that. So I think this was just, I don't know. I think it was, well managed because they lived so long, but they were in denial about would people actually pay money for this. I don't think it was tested well. Which leaves us, speaking of testing, leads us to the last one, Yik Yak. Yik Yak was anonymous, fully anonymous messaging, but was primarily aimed at teens and college students. So you basically enabled bullying. You enabled harassment after relationships break up. You enabled people to make bomb threats and death threats against professors in schools. And so this group of people, adolescents and young people growing up, wondering what they're going to do, getting angry about something, Yik Yak was the perfect tool to go send an anonymous message to somebody when you're completely pissed off. Well, there was a lot of negative, bad things that happened about this. Bomb threats were taken seriously. People were really worried about stalking ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends, and it didn't last long. 2014, they raised 1.5 million, then 10, then 62. So 2014, there was a bunch of people that said, a messaging app that does so well. This is really great, and it's anonymous. Wow, how cool could that be? But the byproduct was horrifying. Anyway, they got up to a $400 million valuation, but then 2017, Yik Yak, muerta, death, out of the game. What's interesting is Yik Yak, to do anonymous messaging, I don't know why they did it, but the logo they selected was a yak. That's right, a yak. Now you would figure if you're dealing with high school and college students that your logo would be something horny, but I can't figure out why you thought that this was ultimately going to be good. So let's do a fast recap. Now let's look at what you and I can both learn from this. First of all, BP. I think on the product concept side, what hurt them was their growth plan, and mismanagement of funds was the human side. The product concept side on Juiceroo, I think it boils down to that. $700 for a Model 1, $400 for a Model 2 for a juicer, and you mail me $5 to $7 worth of stuff that I could go down and get $4 to $5, nice smoothie at my favorite juice bar. But it had to be well managed because they actually advertise that there are 400 ultra custom parts that go into this machine. TechCrunch, and God love you, TechCrunch, I love what you said here. They said they should get some sort of award for having 400 custom parts put into an overpriced appliance that nobody would buy. There's got to be some sort of award for that, and I call that like the denial award. You get an absolute denial award, because if you had sat back and talked to people about what they would pay for this, I think you would have got some good data and may have gone the other way with this. Yik yak. I think it's just wrong, and somebody should have sat there and said, wait a minute, the unintended consequences and everything could happen here is just staggering. So, but I think to build messaging apps that are scalable, that don't fall over, I think you have to be clever. So on the human side, I just say, hey, it was clever and misdirected genius. Because if you can build something like that kind of scale, those are complicated systems. And hats off to the engineering team, but putting it to work this way, no. So there's 3 examples this week of failed, because I guess you guys like watching fails. I could see you all on YouTube probably watching all those like diving board fails, because everybody's like, hey, I want to see more fails. I want to hear about how they failed and why they failed. So there's 3 for this week. And speaking of fails, I need the pillow that never fails. Valuetainment, the channel that never fails to deliver fantastic entrepreneurial content for everyone on the internet. It's the #1 channel for exactly that. Until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth, and I hope I left you better than I found you.